The transport bay hummed with nervous energy as Lieutenant Kai Reeves checked his weapon systems for the third time. Across the hangar, a cluster of Velathi warriors stood in perfect formation, their humanoid shapes eerily still. Unlike the bustling human soldiers, they moved with predatory grace, each gesture calculated and precise. "Stop starring, Lieutenant," Commander Tors muttered, adjusting her tactical vest. "Last thing we need is to spook our allies before the mission even begins." Kai nodded, but his eyes drifted back to the Velathi. Their reputation preceded them, shapeshifters capable of devastating the battlefield, feared across 3 sectors. Yet here they were, partners in humanity's most critical mission, recovering an ancient artifact before the Korthak Syndicate could weaponize it. One Velathi warrior detached from the group, approaching the human contingent. Her movements were fluid, almost hypnotic, and Kai found himself transfixed. Unlike her companions who wore full tactical gear, she favored minimal armor, her athletic form wrapped in form-fitting black combat wear. Her skin held in strange luminescence, and her eyes, they seemed to shift color in the light. "Zendra," she introduced herself, her voice carrying an odd resonance. "I will be your squad's Velathi liaison." Tors stepped forward. "Commander Tors, these are Lieutenants Reeves, Vance, and Chen. We appreciate your species' assistance." Zendra's gaze swept over the humans, lingering for a moment on Kai. "Appreciate?" A hint of something sadness perhaps flickered across her features. "Few species truly appreciate our presence, Commander. Tolerate, utilize, fear, yes, but appreciate?" She shook her head slightly. "We shall see." The mission briefing was tense. Holographic displays showed the artifact's last known location, a derelict research station in the Scar Nebula. Korthak forces were converging on the site, making this a race against time. "The Velathi will take point," Tors announced, causing murmurs among the human ranks. "Their abilities make them ideal for initial reconnaissance." Zendra stood apart from both groups during the briefing, studying the tactical displays with an intensity that made Kai wonder what she was truly seeing. When the briefing ended, he found himself approaching her. "Must get tiresome," he said, gesturing to the wary glances from his fellow humans. "Being the outsider." She turned to him, those shifting eyes now reflecting gold. "Your species invited us into your war, Lieutenant Reeves. Outsider status comes with the territory." Her tone was neutral, but something vulnerable flashed across her face. "Though I've been an outsider among my own people long before humans knew we existed." Before Kai could respond, alarms blared throughout the ship. "All hands to combat stations, Korthak ambush." The next 20 minutes were chaos. Korthak fighters swarmed their formation as the human ship struggled to reach the research station. Kai found himself fighting back-to-back with Zendra, their movements somehow synchronizing without conscious effort. A plasma bolt caught him in the shoulder, sending him spinning. Through the pain, he saw a Korthak warrior bearing down on him, serrated blade raised. Time seemed to slow as Zendra moved with inhuman speed, placing herself between Kai and certain death. She caught the warrior's wrist, and for just a moment, Kai could have sworn her hand seemed to blur, becoming something more than flesh. The Korthak screamed as if burned, dropping his weapon. Zendra dispatched him with a series of moves too fast for Kai to follow. As the battle ended, she knelt beside him, pressing a field bandage to his wound. Her touch was warm, almost burning, and sent strange tingles through his nervous system. "Why did you do that?" he asked through gritted teeth. "You weren't ready to die," she replied simply, "and I've seen enough death to last several lifetimes." In the ship's medical bay, as the medic tended to Kai's wound, Zendra lingered nearby. When they were alone, she approached, hesitation in her movements. "That was reckless," she said, but her tone was gentle. "Taking a hit for someone you barely know." "Same could be said for you," Kai replied, meeting her gaze. "Though I get the feeling you've been saving people longer than I have." She smiled then, a real smile that transformed her austere features. "Perhaps we're both fools, Lieutenant." She reached out, her fingers hovering just inches from his uninjured shoulder. "In my experience, that's not entirely a bad thing." Their eyes met and held. Kai felt something electric in the air between them, a connection he couldn't explain. Zendra's hand trembled slightly, as if fighting some internal battle. "I should warn you," she said softly, her voice barely above a whisper. "Getting close to someone like me? It changes things. Once you truly see what I am, there's no going back." Kai reached up, gently touching her wrist. "Maybe I don't want to go back." The moment shattered as Tors entered the medical bay, breaking the spell. Zendra stepped back, her expression closing off like shutters over a window. "Save your strength, Lieutenant," she said formally. "Tomorrow we reach the research station, and trust me, you'll need all the energy you can muster." As she left, Kai found himself staring at his hand where he'd touched her. His skin still tingled with residual warmth, and he wondered what secrets lay beneath Zendra's carefully controlled exterior. Something told him this mission would reveal far more than just the location of an ancient artifact. Outside the viewport, stars stretched into infinity, hiding their own mysteries. Kai closed his eyes, Zendra's words echoing in his mind. "Once you truly see what I am, there's no going back." He wasn't sure if that was a warning or a promise. Either way, he knew he was already lost. 2 weeks into the mission, the patterns had shifted. What began as formal cooperation had evolved into something more intimate. Zendra found herself gravitating toward Kai during strategy sessions, their heads bent close over holographic displays, their hands brushing as they manipulated tactical projections. "The Korthak have reinforced this sector," Kai pointed out, his finger tracing a route through the nebula. "But if we approach from the dark side of this moon, we'd be exposed during transition," Zendra finished, their faces inches apart. Her enhanced senses picked up the acceleration of his heartbeat, the subtle change in his scent when he was near her. It was intoxicating and dangerous. Late nights became their refuge. While the rest of the crew slept, they met in the observation deck, sharing stories under the vast expanse of space. Tonight, Zendra found herself telling him about Velathos, her homeworld. "It exists partially in your dimension, partially in another," she explained, watching distant galaxies wheel past. "My people can shift between states of being, but prolonged separation from Velathos is difficult." "Is that why you seem sad sometimes?" Kai asked, settling beside her on the bench. The warmth of his proximity made her skin tingle with anticipation. "Sad," she considered the word. "Perhaps, or perhaps it's knowing that no matter how close we work together, there will always be this gulf between our species." Kai turned to face her fully. What if there wasn't? The question hung between them, loaded with implications. Zendra felt her control wavering. In her current form, she appeared human enough, 2 arms, 2 legs, standard facial features. But maintaining the illusion required constant effort, and his presence made concentration difficult. "Kai," she whispered, her voice carrying harmonics that betrayed her alien nature. "You don't understand what you're asking." "Then help me understand." She stood abruptly, putting distance between them. "My species. We don't experience attraction the way yours does. When we bond, it's a complete merging of beings. Our partner sees not just our physical form, but our energy signature, our emotional core, our memories across multiple lifetimes." "That sounds beautiful." "It can be devastating." The conversation was interrupted by his personal communicator. Chen's voice crackled through. "All squad leaders to the bridge. We've detected movement near the artifact site." The next morning, they discovered the artifact wasn't just a weapon, it was a key. Ancient Velathi script covered its surface, detailing coordinates to a dimensional threshold. "This is impossible," Zendra breathed, running her fingers over the symbols. "This artifact predates known Velathi history by millennia." Kai watched her work, noting how her eyes began to glow faintly as she deciphered the text. "What does it say?" "It's a map to the first convergence point between dimensions." Her voice took on an urgent edge. "If the Korthak activate this, they could open a pathway between worlds," Tors finished, having overheard. "New question, why would they want to?" Zendra and Kai exchanged glances. They'd grown skilled at silent communication, a dance of subtle expressions and shared understanding. "Resources," Kai suggested. "Access to new technologies." "Or allies," Zendra added grimly. "There are beings in the other realm who would pay any price for access to physical reality." That night, the crew celebrated a successful defensive action against a Korthak probe. In the mess hall, someone had rigged a makeshift sound system. Humans and Velathi mingled awkwardly, alcohol bridging some cultural gaps. Zendra sat apart, nursing a drink that would have been toxic to humans. Kai slipped away from his fellow officers and joined her. "Dance with me," he said simply. "I don't know human dances." "I don't know Velathi ones. We'll improvise." The music was slow, something ancient Earth. Kai gathered her into his arms, one hand at her waist, the other holding hers. Zendra felt the familiar surge of electricity at his touch. "Your hands are warm," she murmured, allowing herself to be led. "Yours are too, like fever but pleasant." They moved together, their bodies finding a rhythm that had nothing to do with the music and everything to do with the growing connection between them. Zendra let herself relax, let the artificial walls she maintained slip just slightly. Big mistake. Kai's eyes widened as he felt the subtle shift in her form. For just a moment, her hand in his seemed to flow like water, her skin rippled with patterns of light, and her eyes blazed with colors no human spectrum could contain. "What?" She jerked back, rebuilding her human appearance instantly, but it was too late. He'd felt it, seen it. "Zendra, I told you," she said, backing away. "Getting close to me changes things." "I'm not afraid." "You should be." She turned to leave, then paused. "Tonight, when you dream, you'll see glimpses of what I really am. Your mind will try to process something it was never meant to comprehend. Tomorrow, you can pretend it was just strange dreams, or you can accept that some boundaries shouldn't be crossed." She left him standing there, his hand still tingling from where her form had shifted. Around them, the celebration continued, but Kai felt as if he stood in a bubble of silence. That night he dreamed of creatures made of starlight, of worlds where gravity was optional, of a woman whose true form was both terrifying and achingly beautiful. He dreamed of energy beings dancing through cosmic nebulae, of consciousness unbound by flesh. He woke with tears on his cheeks and a certainty in his heart. The next morning, he found her in the weapons bay, methodically cleaning her equipment with more force than necessary. "I dreamed," he said without preamble. Her shoulders tensed, "And now you know. That you're more than what you appear. That your species exists on levels we can't even imagine." He stepped closer. "That you're lonely, carrying the weight of entire civilizations on your shoulders, maintaining a facade that must be exhausting." She whirled to face him. "You dreamed of a monster, Kai. Don't romanticize it." "I dreamed of you." He reached for her hand. "All of you. The parts that burn with the heat of stars, the parts that ache with centuries of isolation, the parts that are so beautifully alien I can't begin to understand them, and the parts that are achingly familiar." Their hands touched, and this time she didn't pull away. "One more touch, human," she whispered, her voice carrying undertones that made reality itself seem to ripple. "And you'll see the real me." The warning in her words was unmistakable, so was the hope. Kai looked into those shifting, impossible eyes and smiled. "I'm counting on it." The ship's alarms shrieked to life, shattering the moment. Emergency lights bathed them in red as Tor's voice boomed through the communicators. "All hands to battle stations. We've got multiple Korthak signatures incoming. This is not a drill." As they raced toward their combat positions, Zendra caught Kai's arm. "Promise me something," she said urgently. "Whatever happens today, whatever you see, remember that I warned you." "Zendra, promise me, Kai." He looked into her eyes, seeing something like fear there. In all their time together, he'd never seen her afraid. "I promise," he said, "but you promise me something too." "What?" "That you'll stop running from this, from us." She hesitated, then nodded. "After today, one way or another, this ends today." As they separated to their stations, neither noticed the figure watching from the shadows. A human soldier with cold eyes and a secure communicator pressed to his ear. "Target confirmed," he whispered. "The aliens getting too close to Reeves. Activate containment protocol Epsilon." The stage was set for revelations that would change not just two hearts, but the fate of two species. The battle was a disaster. Korthak forces had laid a trap, using the artifact's energy signature to pinpoint their location. The research station erupted in explosions as enemy boarding parties swarmed through breached corridors. Kai fought back-to-back with Zendra, their movements a deadly dance they'd perfected over weeks of combat. But something was wrong. Human soldiers were falling back too quickly, abandoning positions they should have held. "Chen, where's your squad?" Kai shouted into his comm. Static answered him. "We're being cut off," Zendra warned, her weapon firing in controlled bursts. "This feels like—" The ceiling collapsed between them and the human forces. Through the smoke and debris, Kai caught a glimpse of Chen's squad falling back deliberately, leaving them isolated. Move, Zendra grabbed Kai's arm, hauling him through a side passage as Korthak warriors advanced from both ends of the corridor. They ran through a maze of abandoned laboratories, the walls flickering with emergency lighting. Zendra's senses guided them away from the heaviest fighting, but Kai could feel the trap closing around them. "Storage Bay 7, she gasped, directing him left. "There's a maintenance shaft that connects to the lower levels." They burst through the doors into a cavernous space filled with salvaged technology. Kai immediately moved to secure the entrance while Zendra accessed a control panel. "Damn it," she cursed, her fingers flying over the interface. "They've overridden the controls, we're locked in." "How long before they cut through?" "Minutes, maybe less." Kai slumped against a storage crate, his ammunition running low. "Tell me this isn't how it ends, trapped in a storage room like rats." Zendra continued working at the controls, but her movements had changed. There was a tension in her shoulders he hadn't seen before, a tremor in her hands. "Zendra." "The battle, it's triggering something," she said, her voice strained. "My people respond to extreme stress by reverting. It's a survival mechanism, but in confined spaces with non-Velathi present." "What happens?" She turned to face him, and Kai saw that her eyes were now completely luminescent, shifting through colors like an aurora. "I could hurt you, Kai. Not intentionally, but our combat forms are designed for maximum lethality." The sound of plasma cutters began echoing through the sealed doors. "We don't have much time," Kai said gently, "for any of this." "That's what I'm trying to tell you." Her voice was becoming layered, multiple tones harmonizing together. "If I shift now, if you see what I really am in the heat of battle with adrenaline and fear, it won't be like the glimpses you've had. It will be everything all at once. And you think that will change how I feel about you?" "I know it will. Everyone changes, Kai, once they truly see." He crossed the space between them in 3 quick strides, cupping her face in his hands. Her skin was hot now, almost burning. "One more touch, human," she whispered, her voice barely recognizable, carrying harmonics that made the air itself vibrate, "and you'll see the real me." This time it wasn't a warning, it was an invitation. Kai's answer was to kiss her. The effect was immediate and overwhelming. Where their lips met, reality seemed to bend. Zendra's carefully maintained human form began to dissolve like morning mist. Her skin rippled, becoming translucent, then luminescent. Patterns of light raced across what had been flesh, geometric, and organic simultaneously. Her hair lengthened and began to float, strands moving like they were underwater, each one emitting a soft glow. Kai felt her form shifting in his arms, becoming simultaneously solid and incorporeal. Her consciousness touched his, not invasive, but like 2 streams converging. Suddenly he could sense her emotions, her fears, her desires. The loneliness of centuries crashed over him, followed by something warm and bright, her growing feelings for him. Her true appearance was indescribable. Parts of her seemed to exist in dimensions his eyes couldn't quite focus on. She was tall, taller than before, with limbs that bent in ways that defied human anatomy. Her face retained some semblance of familiarity, but her features were sharper, more angular, with organic patterns that shifted like living tattoos. Most striking were her eyes. No longer human-like orbs, they had become windows into something vast and cosmic. Looking into them was like staring into the heart of a nebula. "Beautiful," Kai breathed and meant it. Zendra, her voice now a chorus of harmonics, pulled back slightly. Even in her true form, he could read the disbelief in those cosmic eyes. You're not afraid." Before Kai could answer, the storage bay doors exploded inward. Korthak warriors poured through the opening, weapons raised. The switch in Zendra was instantaneous. The gentle being holding him transformed into something else entirely. Her form blurred, becoming a creature of pure predatory grace. Tendrils of energy erupted from her body like whips of solidified light. Her hands became claws that could tear through metal. She moved with inhuman speed, becoming a dancer of destruction. Korthak warriors fired at her position, but she was never where their weapons aimed. She flowed between their attacks like water, striking with precision that was both beautiful and terrifying. Kai found himself providing cover fire, watching in awe as Zendra dismantled the boarding party. Her movements were poetry written in violence, each gesture flowing seamlessly into the next. When she struck, Korthak armor crumpled like paper. But more kept coming. Kai, her voice carried above the chaos. The maintenance shaft go. Not without you. A Korthak heavy weapons specialist burst through the doors, carrying a weapon that could level small buildings. Zendra moved to intercept, but Kai saw the crossfire trap they were setting up. Without thinking, he launched himself at Zendra, tackling her out of the line of fire. They crashed into a bank of equipment as energy weapons discharged where she'd been standing. They landed in a tangle of human and alien limbs, Zendra's true form wrapped around him protectively. For a moment, time seemed to stop. "You're insane," she said, her voice carrying affection despite the situation. "Complete lunatic," he agreed, grinning up at her impossible face. The moment shattered as the storage bay shook with new explosions. More Korthak were arriving, and somewhere in the distance, Kai could hear human voices, but they weren't calling for their stranded comrades. "We need to move," Zendra said, returning to her mission focus. But she didn't shift back to her human appearance. For the first time, she was allowing him to see her as she truly was, in all her terrifying, wonderful alienness. Together, Kai confirmed. They fought their way to the maintenance shaft, moving with a synchronization that defied their physical differences. Every time Kai caught sight of Zendra in battle, energy crackling around her form, eyes blazing with otherworldly light, his heart raced with something far stronger than adrenaline. As they disappeared into the shaft, Zendra paused to seal the entrance behind them. In her true form, the simple act of manipulating controls looked like magic. "No going back now," she said softly. Her voice carrying undertones he was beginning to understand meant uncertainty. "Who said anything about going back?" Kai reached for her hand, now more claw than fingers, and interlaced their fingers. The contact sent jolts of energy through both of them. "Forward is the only direction that matters." Deep in the station's bowels, hidden from the battle raging above, they had found something more dangerous than any enemy force, the truth of who they were to each other. And in the darkness of the maintenance tunnels, that truth began to glow with its own light. Above them, unbeknownst to either of them, a human strike team received new orders. Retrieve Lieutenant Reeves, eliminate the Velathi threat. The real battle was just beginning. The maintenance tunnels led them deeper into the research station's core, away from the main battle. Zendra moved ahead, her true form navigating the cramped spaces with fluid grace. Occasional emergency lights caught the patterns shifting across her skin, creating kaleidoscopes of color in the darkness. "There's something else," she said as they paused at a junction. Her cosmic eyes narrowed, scanning multiple directions simultaneously. "I've been sensing something familiar since we arrived. This station. It's not just human or Korthak. There's Velathi technology here, very old Velathi technology." Kai wiped sweat from his forehead, still adjusting to the efficiency with which Zendra could see in complete darkness. "How old?" "Older than our recorded history, perhaps. Perhaps this is why the artifact led us here." They chose the left passage, following an instinct Zendra couldn't explain. The tunnels widened, eventually opening into a vast underground chamber that shouldn't have existed in a station this size. "Impossible," Kai breathed. The chamber stretched hundreds of meters in all directions, its ceiling lost in darkness. But what dominated the space was a structure at its center, a pyramid of impossible angles that seemed to bend light around itself. Covering its surface were symbols identical to those on the artifact, but these glowed with an inner luminescence. "This is ancient," Zendra whispered, her form shifting colors in response to proximity to her ancestors' work. "This predates first contact between our species by millennia. How did humans find this?" "Maybe they didn't find it," Kai suggested grimly. "Maybe it found them." They approached the pyramid cautiously. As they drew closer, Zendra's appearance began changing further. Her skin became more translucent, revealing constellations of light beneath. Her form expanded, becoming less solid, more energy. "Zendra, it's responding to my presence," she said, her voice now containing harmonics that made the air vibrate. "This technology, it's calling to something in me." The moment her translucent fingers touched the pyramid's surface, the chamber exploded with light. Images flooded their minds, not just visual, but emotional, tactile, multidimensional. They saw the first Velathi, beings of pure energy learning to shape themselves into physical forms. They witnessed the Great War that drove her people into exile, scattering them across dimensions. And they saw the truth. Humanity and the Velathi shared common ancestors, split apart by cosmic catastrophe eons ago. "We're related," Kai gasped as the visions receded. "More than that," Zendra said, her form now almost completely energy, anchored to reality by the thinnest threads of physical matter. "We're two halves of a whole. Your species evolved one path, mine another, but we were meant to reunite." The pyramid's glow intensified, and new information flowed between them. The artifact wasn't just a key. It was a beacon, calling scattered Velathi home. But more than that, it contained the genetic codes needed to bridge the gap between species, to allow true bonding between human and Velathi. "That's why you've been afraid," Kai realized. "It's not just showing your true form, it's showing our true connection, the possibility of something completely new." Zendra turned to him, and he saw tears of pure light streaming down her face. "I've been alone for so long, Kai. My people exiled me for believing in this reunification. They said humans were too primitive, too violent. That bonding with one would diminish me. And now I see they were wrong. We don't diminish each other, we complete each other." Kai stepped forward, reaching for her despite her ethereal state. When his hand touched her energy field, the contact sent shockwaves through the chamber. "Show me," he said simply, "all of it." Zendra's control shattered completely. Her human facade dissolved entirely, revealing her true nature. She grew, her form expanding to fill the space between dimensions. Energy tendrils extended from her core, connecting to points throughout the chamber. Her consciousness brushed against his, tentative at first, then with growing confidence. "This is what I am," her thoughts spoke directly into his mind. "Not just physical, but quantum, existing across multiple realities simultaneously. When my people bond, we share this existence. Our partner becomes part of this expanded awareness." Instead of fear, Kai felt only wonder. "Show me how." The connection deepened. Suddenly, Kai was experiencing existence through Zendra's senses. He could see energy patterns underlying all matter, could sense the dimensional currents flowing around them, could feel the vibrations of distant stars. It was overwhelming, beautiful, and absolutely right. Their consciousness merged and separated again, like waves finding their rhythm. With each joining, the boundaries between them grew less distinct. Kai felt his awareness expanding beyond his physical form, while Zendra felt the grounding presence of human emotion anchoring her to this reality. When their minds finally separated, they were both changed. Kai's eyes now held hints of starlight, while Zendra had regained some solidity, her energy form shaped by their connection into something between human and pure Velathi. "We've bonded," she said with wonder. "Truly bonded, I didn't think it was possible." "So this is what your warning meant. Seeing the real you includes becoming part of you." "And you part of me?" She approached him, her form now a perfect blend of energy and matter. "But Kai, there's something else. The pyramid showed me more. The human factions, they know about this chamber. They've been studying it, and some of them want to weaponize it," he finished grimly. Before she could respond, tactical lights blazed in the chamber. Human soldiers repelled from access points above, surrounding them completely. But these weren't Korthak, these were Tor's people. "Lieutenant Reeves, step away from the alien," Tor's commanded, her weapon trained on Zendra. "That's an order." Kai stepped forward, positioning himself between Tor's and Zendra. "I don't think so, Commander." "You don't understand what you're dealing with, son. That thing has you compromised, it's not even human." "Neither am I, not completely, not anymore." Kai felt the energy patterns Zendra had shared still flowing through his enhanced awareness. "And that thing has a name. Her name is Zendra, and she's shown me the truth about why we're really here." The chamber's pyramid pulsed, responding to the tension. Data streams that only Kai and Zendra could see revealed more truth. The human military had known about the Velathi connection all along. This mission had been designed to capture a Velathi for experimentation, to unlock the secrets of dimensional travel. "The Velathi aren't weapons," Kai announced, his voice carrying new harmonics learned from Zendra. "They're our lost family, and this chamber, it's a gift from our shared ancestors, a way to evolve beyond the limitations that have kept us apart." "Enough," Tors shouted. "Team 2, prepare containment protocols. Team 3, trank the lieutenant. He's clearly been compromised by alien influence." The standoff erupted into chaos. But this time, Kai and Zendra moved as one. Their bond allowed them to anticipate each other's movements perfectly. Zendra's energy form provided cover while Kai, enhanced by their connection, moved with speed and grace that surprised even him. The chamber's pyramid responded to their unity, its light intensifying until it reached critical mass. Data streams coalesced into a final message: activate the beacon, complete the convergence, unite what was divided. The artifact? Zendra shouted as they fought their way toward the pyramid's apex. If we can activate it here, it will send the reunification codes to every Velathi in exile. No more loneliness, no more division. Kai grinned fiercely, fully committed now. Then let's light this beacon together. As they reached for the artifact's activation matrix, a new harmony filled the chamber, the sound of two species preparing to write a new chapter in their shared history. The revolution had begun. The artifact pulsed with increasing intensity as Kai and Zendra's combined energy flowed into it. Around them, the firefight had evolved into something unprecedented. Humans and Velathi fighting alongside each other against Tor's containment team. The beacon's charging, Zendra called out, her form now a perfect fusion of energy and matter. But I need to channel more power through our bond. Kai understood instantly. They'd been dancing around the true potential of their connection, but now there was no time for hesitation. He opened himself completely to the link, feeling his consciousness merge with hers at a deeper level than before. The effect was immediate. Energy exploded from their joined forms, creating a protective barrier around the pyramid. Those who had remained loyal to the mission's original parameters, both human and Velathi, rallied behind this beacon of unity. "Tors, stand down," Lieutenant Vance shouted, having received his own taste of enlightenment through proximity to the activated chamber. "You've seen what they can do together. This isn't about control, it's about evolution." But Tors was beyond reason. Unknown to her subordinates, she carried a mind-lock implant, insurance against potential alien influence. Now it was driving her to complete her true mission at any cost. "Activate Purge Protocol Lambda," she screamed into her communicator. "Destroy the chamber. If we can't control this technology, no one can." Alarms blared as the station's self-destruct sequence engaged. 20 minutes to total annihilation. "We're out of time," Zendra said, her cosmic eyes reflecting the countdown. "The beacon needs to be fully activated before the station's destroyed, or the signal won't reach the other dimensional refugees." "Then we finish this," Kai declared. Around them, the united humans and Velathi had formed a defensive perimeter. "Cover us." Together, they plunged their hands into the artifact's core. The sensation was like touching the heart of a star. Information, memories, and possibilities flooded through their expanded consciousness. Kai saw futures where humanity and Velathi explored the cosmos as one species, where the barriers between dimensions became gates instead of walls. But he also saw the cost. Activating the beacon at this level would require exhausting their combined life force. They would need to become the bridge, letting every ounce of their energy flow into the signal. "We'll die," he realized, the thought passing directly to Zendra. "We'll transform," she corrected gently. "The beacon will preserve our essence, merge it with the signal. We'll exist in a new way, as part of the unity we're creating." Kai looked at her, truly looked, seeing not just the beautiful alien being who had captured his heart, but the partner who completed his soul. Their bond had shown him that love transcended species, dimension, even death. Together, always. They poured everything into the beacon. Kai felt his physical form beginning to dissolve, but instead of fear, he experienced profound joy. He was becoming something more, something greater. Beside him, Zendra was transforming into pure light, their essences intertwining. The beacon erupted in a column of light that pierced the station's hull, racing into space at faster-than-light speeds. Across the galaxy, exiled Velathi felt the call to return home. But more than that, humans touched by the signal experienced awakening, the dormant quantum awareness in their genes activated by the reunion code. Tors screamed in rage as her forces abandoned their positions, drawn by the overwhelming truth of the beacon's message. Even her mind lock couldn't block the fundamental recognition that humans and Velathi were meant to be one. 3 minutes to detonation, someone shouted. But the transformation wasn't complete. Kai and Zendra, now beings of pure energy intertwined with the beacon's light, made a final choice. Instead of ascending completely, they anchored themselves to this reality, becoming living links between dimensions. The beacon's light condensed, flowing back into the pyramid and into them. When the brilliance faded, Kai and Zendra stood before the pyramid, physically unchanged but fundamentally transformed. The light of other dimensions played across their skin. Their eyes held the depth of cosmic awareness, but they remained solidly present in this reality. "Impossible," Tor's breathed. "You should be dead." "Death is just another transition," Zendra said simply. "We chose to remain here as bridges between what was and what will be." The countdown hit 0. Instead of destruction, the station transformed. The beacon's energy, now permanently integrated into the station's core, converted the facility into something new, a convergence point between dimensions, an embassy between species. Tors lowered her weapon, the mind lock finally shattering under the weight of truth. What happens now? Kai took Zendra's hand, feeling the easy flow of understanding between them. Now we build something better. The Velathi are coming home, but this homecoming isn't about returning to what was. It's about creating what could be. In the following weeks, the first Velathi refugees arrived. Some maintained their energy forms, others chose physical manifestations, and some, inspired by Kai and Zendra, found balance between states of being. The research station became a center for learning, where humans and Velathi shared knowledge, culture, and ultimately love. Kai and Zendra became the first of many bonded pairs, their relationship serving as a template for others who chose to bridge the gap between species. Their love had sparked a revolution not of conquest, but of consciousness. 6 months later, on the anniversary of first contact, Kai stood with Zendra on an observation deck. Below them, human and Velathi children played together, their hybrid natures allowing them to shift between forms at will. This new generation would grow up knowing no boundaries between species. "Do you ever regret it?" Zendra asked, her hand finding his. "Giving up a normal human life?" Kai looked at her, his partner, his other half, his impossible love. Sometimes he saw her in human form, sometimes as the cosmic being of energy and light. Most often, she was both at once, a living reminder that the best things in life defied simple categorization. "I traded normal for extraordinary," he said, lifting their joined hands to place a kiss on her crystalline fingers. "I'd say I got the better deal." She smiled, and for a moment, stars danced in her eyes. "Want to show the children how to create aurora displays? I think they're ready for their first lesson in dimensional manipulation." "Lead the way, Starlight." As they walked toward the observation bay where excited voices, both human and harmonically enhanced, called their names, Kai reflected on how a simple warning, "One more touch, human, and you'll see the real me," had become an invitation to explore the frontiers of love, consciousness, and what it meant to be truly alive. Sometimes the most terrifying thresholds led to the most beautiful destinations, and sometimes seeing someone's true self was exactly what the universe had been waiting for. In the end, the greatest mission wasn't conquering the stars, but learning to love without boundaries. And in that mission, Kai and Zendra had achieved total, beautiful victory. The end retry Claude can make mistakes. Please double-check responses.